Americans were on calories. So I never knew what diet was in North Korea. There was never such a thing called a diet. You know, it was always good thing to be a little bit chubby, and if you were chubby, it's like a status symbol. You are not starving. So when I was in North Korea, the most like desired man type was like someone with a big belly and bald. So that means like we think they are really well off, they are well fed, because most of men are really skinny. And when I came here, I mean, people like just telling me like, oh, do not eat like white bread, flour, do not eat high sugar. They told me like, oh, you need to like check the sugar level, and like, oh, you need to buy low fat. And I was so confused, like, what do you mean low fat? What do you mean like no sugar? What do you mean like no bread, no rice? And here people, I mean, having a war with like diet. And it was in the beginning, it was very confusing because, you know, they told me like obesity is a very big problem in America. It kills a lot of people. I didn't even know what obese was. And it was really like shocking for me, because while there is a country in the same planet, their problem is not having enough food. Literally, my people are dying, but people here, their problem is having too much food. I was like, you know, it's like, how do I reconcile these two realities? And they're both real problems, right? Having too much food, it does kill you. Having too little food, you can get killed. But how is this like acceptable? We are in the same planet somehow. You know, if we give the food that we throw away here to North Koreans, no one has to die in North Korea. So that was really confusing. And not only that, when it comes to diet, Americans' obsessions with, you know, allergies or their dietary restrictions, I was very confused. Like, whenever I invite to event or like friend's house, they say like, oh, let me your dietary restriction. And I was like, what is that? I never heard of such a thing. Like, what is it? It's like, oh, the things that you cannot eat or you don't want to eat. It's like, I mean, I eat everything. I eat like grasshoppers, I eat frogs, I eat everything. And I heard like here people practicing like veganism, vegetarianism, and, you know, like no dairy, like so many like, and no nuts. And I heard like there are so many children in America has allergies. So I have my son, and when I go to play dates, they say like, do not bring nuts, because, you know, kids have allergies. Like, I never heard such a thing in North Korea. I never heard like such a thing called like food allergy. So maybe biology changed us here. I don't know what is different, but like when I was in North Korea, I never heard such a thing, and I don't think it killed anybody. So, you know, it was like a huge culture. There's like no judgment here, but it was just so different, and it just took some time for me to understand this different culture when it comes to diet. So second, exercise. Here's again, there's a war on exercise here. I see, like whenever I go out street, I see so many people just running. And in this building, there's a gym, people just running there. And also like my friends, they love go hiking too. And I mean, I had to hike to survive in North Korea, hunting mushrooms, hunting plants, hunting anything to find to eat in North Korea. Like hiking was for survivor. It was never for like a hobby. But here people exercise and like work out and hike for hobby. And that was really confusing, and I don't really exercise here now because like I exercise too much. Like I did like for my lifetime. Maybe I don't need it now, but I think I should do it because, you know, I do like now eating too much and like not working out. But that was really like, you know, confusing for me to see, oh, here, even though their life is so good, they don't need to find things to eat in the mountains, but because of the abundance here, people had to exercise to stay healthy and have a healthy mind and healthy body too. So number 3 is a public display of affection, PDA. I went to Las Vegas, actually for a speech. It was for a work, not for a party. And I was like, oh my, where do I put my eyes? In North Korea, you cannot even hold your boyfriend's hand. You can never ever imagine seeing somebody of different gender or lovers hugging or kissing. I mean, here, kissing is not even nobody looking at them, and nobody everybody thinks it's such a normal thing. You just kiss them and hug them, and I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my god, where did I put my eyes? And now I really I'm okay with it, because it's your expression of how you express yourself with the other person. But coming from North Korea, where that kind of affection was really criticized and looked down upon, it took some time for me to get used to, seeing couples hugging and kissing and holding hands, and do sometimes more than that. It was it took some time for me to get used to that. And number 4, this is something that I really want to give a lot of my applause and credibility to, not only America but South Korea and a lot of developed countries respecting this disability. I mean, not only developed countries, I think even the third world countries still so much, not unlike North Korea, respect disability and have a compassion for them. But in North Korea, the regime, the policy itself had such a persecuting disability people. So for instance, if you in the past in Pyongyang, if you lose your arm or leg, so if you have get it into accident, you could not be able to live in Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea. The country gonna kick you out, because they don't want when the foreigners to come and see unhealthy, maybe not normal in their standard people. And even in the countryside, because government had that kind of policy, people didn't really have a lot of compassion for them, and there was no such a facility for them to even go out. So if you become disabled, you just stay at home and you don't do anything. So when I went to South Korea or even America, I saw those subways and see signs of wheelchair at the airports. I didn't know what it was in the beginning, and asking them what is that for? And they're oh, it's for disabled people. I was like, what? This is paradise. I mean, this is the best place on earth. We respect weak, we respect people who doesn't have things that we have. And I was so touched by that kind of compassion, policy, and the people and those facilities to help those people out. And that's what I feel so sad about North Korea. If you come born with birth defects or become disabled, you're life is almost done. There's no other second chance, and you're being shamed for disability. So for instance, there were people with dwarfism, who doesn't grow as much than normal adults. The regime just caught them and forcefully sent them to this little village where they cannot be mixed with normal population. And in the past, the regime would go make them infertile to not being able to reproduce. So the level of this kind of cruelty that affects North Korean people, it's uncountable ways how the regime persecutes its own people.